Here's the thing nobody told me about starting over after 50. Sometimes the hardest part is not leaving something that failed. Sometimes it's leaving something that worked. When Steve and I left trucking to start the dog training business, we weren't leaving a disaster. We were making good money on the road. We were a team. It was working. But I wanted a home base. I wanted something different. And everyone we told thought we were absolutely crazy to walk away from steady income to go train dogs. Well, they were wrong. It worked. We made more training dogs than we ever made hauling freight. But the decision to leave something that was working, that was one of the hardest things I'd done at that point. Because it would have been easy to just keep going, to keep hauling, to keep collecting the paycheck that showed up reliably every week, and nobody would have blamed us. The harder choice was admitting that even though it was working, it wasn't everything we wanted. And even harder was actually doing something about it. That's the part nobody tells you. And it's the part I think a lot of women our age are quietly sitting with right now. So if you're new here, I'm Valerie. I'm 62. I'm living in a camper in rural South Carolina, building income after 50 that doesn't require a boss, a client, or a perfectly available schedule. Everything I share here is my own experience. It won't be everyone's experience. Subscribe if you want to follow along while I figure it all out. So I've started over more than once. That's important context for everything I'm about to say. I went from earning a journalism degree at the University of Georgia to being a mother, several jobs, the whole 9 yards, to a funeral home, from a funeral home to truck driving school in my 40s, where I was the only woman in class. I cried every night and went back every day after work anyway. From trucking to building a dog training business that everyone said would fail. And now, alongside the dog training business, I'm building income online at 62. I told the whole reinvention story in a recent video. I'll link it below if you want the full picture. I'd love for you to watch. So this isn't a video about one starting over moment. It's about a pattern across all of them. And what's genuinely different this time. When I left trucking, I was mostly thinking about what I could build next, what could make money, what I was capable of, what I would enjoy, what the opportunity was. I wasn't thinking much about the kind of life I wanted whatever I built to support. This time I'm asking that question first, and it's changing everything about how I make decisions. Let me explain what I mean by that. When I left trucking and started the dog training business, I asked, what can I build? What can Steve and I build together? What can make money? What I didn't ask was, what do I want my day-to-day to look like in 5 years? What am I no longer willing to build my life around? What does the word freedom actually mean to me specifically? I know I can work hard. I know I can run a business. I know I can manage people, deal with difficult situations, learn new things, and put in long hours when I have to. I've done all of that, and I've done it more than once. I'm not trying to prove any of that anymore. What I'm doing now is building income alongside the dog training business, not replacing it. And this time, I'm asking completely different questions before I decide what to add. Not just what can make money, but what can make money in a way that fits the life I actually want in the future. That's a very different starting point. Here's what's emotionally different about starting over at this age. Time feels different. When you're 30, you can tell yourself, if this doesn't work out, I'll try something else. Technically, I can still say that. But at 62, there's also a part of your brain doing the math. How many good working years do I have left? How much time do I want to spend building something that turns out to be wrong for me? I don't mean that in a depressing way. I have no intentions of sitting around waiting to get old. But I'm much more aware that time matters. I don't want to spend the next 3 or 5 years building something only to realize I hate the life that came with it. And here's the strange part. I'm more confident and more cautious at the same time. More confident because I've done hard things before and I know I can figure things out. Done it before. More cautious because I know a lot more now about what bad decisions actually cost. I know what it feels like to pour years into something. I know how long it takes to recover from starting over when you don't have time to waste. Retirement isn't some vague thing 30 years away anymore. But here's the other side of that. And this might be the strangest part of getting older. I don't feel done. I'm 62 and I don't feel like I'm at the end of anything. I still have ideas. I still want to build things. I still want to make money. Steve and I have plans. We want to travel. We want to enjoy life. We want to enjoy the life that we've worked so hard for. I don't want to retire from doing things. I want to retire from having a boss, a client, or a business that requires everything I have. I'm not ready to quit working. I'm ready to work differently. So what does working differently actually look like? Well, right now, I'm building Amazon influencer income alongside the dog training business. I make short video reviews of products people are already buying, and I earn a commission when they watch and then they buy. I've made almost $10,000 this year that way. I've got over 1,500 videos on my storefront. It earns while I'm sleeping. It earns on weekends. It doesn't need me to be available. I'm not trading hours. Alongside that, I have this YouTube channel. I also have a review channel my VA helps me manage. I've got Pinterest. I've started a blog. I'm about to start a Substack. Most of that is repurposed content that I add some things to maybe. I'm not starting from scratch every time. I'm putting what I already create in more places. Do I know exactly what all of this becomes? No, I don't. Amazon has proved itself. YouTube is a longer game, but I have confidence in where it's headed. Some of the other ideas will work. Some of them won't. The plan is changing while I'm living it. And I've made peace with that. Because I used to think starting over meant I needed a whole new plan before I could start moving. Now I think sometimes you just need a direction and enough courage to start before you're ready. Here's what I'd tell you if you're standing at the beginning of something right now. Don't start by asking, what can I do? Start by asking, what do I not want my life to look like anymore? Because I can do a lot of things. I can run a business. I can manage employees. I can deal with clients. I can sell. I can learn new technology. I can work long hours. But just because I can do something doesn't mean I should build my next chapter around it. When I left trucking, I didn't ask those questions. I just asked what could work, what would I enjoy. And what worked turned out to be good. And also a lot more demanding than I understood at the time. This time I defined what I wanted first. And then I judge the income ideas against that. For me, that means fewer people depending on me every day, fewer fixed commitments, income that can grow without every dollar requiring another hour of my time, work that fits around my life instead of the other way around. I don't have it all figured out. Being older doesn't mean you suddenly know exactly what you're supposed to do next. What I do know more clearly now is what I'm no longer willing to build my life around. And I think that's really important. And that might be the most useful thing I've learned in 62 years. So, if any of this sounds like where you are right now, if you're standing somewhere between what you've built and what you want next, stay with me. That's exactly what this channel is. It's not a roadmap. It's definitely not a guarantee. It's just one woman figuring out in real time and telling you what she finds. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to leave something that was working because it stopped fitting your life? I don't think I'm the only one who's been there. Stay close. You're not done yet, and neither am I.